All right, last lesson of the week, 6.5. Today what we're going to do is take is wow. Today we take a mix of our exposure to distributive property with our idea of working with decimals. It should not be a difficult step, but again, you want to copy the examples that I show. That way you have something to fall back on if you get stuck. Again, this is one of those where I will show you a couple examples on the keynote presentation, and then I will work some problems out on MathXL to kind of make sure you at least see how it should work out. But other than that, uh, all we're going to do is add the decimal existence into our work so far. So 1.2 parentheses x minus 6 equals 2.4. The first thing we'll do, and I'll give you time to copy this after a moment, but again, 1.2 meets x. To make 1.2x, I think I stopped writing the arcs because you should be ready for that by now. But again, 1.2 meets x to be 1.2x. 1.2 meets negative 6 to make negative 7.2, and then bring down your 2.4. From there, again, what we learned to do is move the weaker of the two. We know that these two numbers are with x, and we need to move the weaker one by adding 7.2. You then bring down 1.2x, and that, I believe, makes 9.6. From there, we want to get rid of the 1.2 by dividing, getting x, I believe, equals 8. Second example, and then I'll pause for a moment for you to kind of, or give you a moment to kind of copy this stuff. But again, this is conceptual at this point, which means that at this point we should be at the spot where even though you don't have it written down, every time I take a step, you should be able to mentally say, yes, I agree with that step. Yes, I see where that came from, because you've worked these out enough that you should almost be at that point. Anyway, this time the distributive property is on the right side, so we do 35.7 comes down. 5.1 times x is 5.1x. 5.1 times 4, I believe, is 5 times 4 is 20. That is 4, so 20.4. We then have to recognize that x is on this side, and so these two numbers are the ones with x, and so this is the one that must go away. So 20.4, as it's plus 20.4, needs to be subtracted. 3, 5, 1, so 13.5, sorry, 15.3 equals 5.1x. You then divide by 5.1 and look at this carefully. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 3 divided by 1 is 3, which means that this is definitely 3 equals x. So again, it is best for you right now to go ahead and copy those examples as you have time, so that we can get to the MathXL, and all you have to do from there is watch. Because again, the MathXL portion is mainly so you can see it worked out and make sure that when you get stuck on your homework, that you can come back to the video, fast forward to the MathXL portion, and then watch from there. Because remember, again, as it goes, you can replay all that stuff. So let's look at some MathXL examples before we close out. Again, if you did not get those copied, go ahead and pause for a moment. But other than that, let's move on and finish this off. All right, so looking at what we have here, again, zoom this up for you. Same thing as we were before, but again, 2.7 meets A to make 2.7A. And our adjustment for this time around was that now I have to do 2.7 times 3, which should be 8.1, but let's just look. There we go. So plus 8.1 equals 16.2. Again, from there we know we need to move the 8.1, so we subtract 8.1 from both sides. We then bring down our 2.7a because that's the only thing that's left. We then do 16.2 minus 8.1, which would be 1 and 8, so 8.1. And think about this. 2.7 times 3 was 8.1. Now you want to know what 8.1 divided by 2.7 is. I kind of get ahead of myself, but bottom line there is you'll see what you need once I do it. But you need to start paying attention to what the numbers are telling you. We are dividing both sides by 2.7. And you bring down A. And I am assuming the answer is 3 because, again, that's what I did to get 8.1. But let's just make sure for the sake of being safe. And there's your 3. So I know I got it right. I can move on. The only difference this time is that instead of doing one side at a time, you see both. So now we have the 8.6 on this side. So we do 8.6, tab to get to the next box. Again, this times that is going to be, this is a terrible question. Um, I think that's 0. Anyway, that should be 8.6z. Sorry, I'm working the problem out in my head as I work. And then minus 8.6. No, I know what it is now. Because anything times 1 is just going to be itself. Now what we're going to do is move. Again, this has nothing to do with the problem because this is the side we're looking at. This must move now by adding 8.6 and adding 8.6. And doubling 8.6 would be 16 and 12, so make that 17.2 with 8.6z being left over. Again, now that these two are attached directly as they are, we go ahead and we divide by 8.6. Again, I'm sure this is getting boring for some of you, and that is a great thing. Think about doing this for longer than, 18, 19 years, but at some point it does get easier. Now we divide those two, and again, 17.2 divided by 8.6 just to make sure is 2. Just remember that you need to keep things on the proper side and that the only thing comes down from here is your z. As long as you've got that understood, you should be good to go. So again, that's what we're looking at. Again, if you need to have a couple of these boxes copied, make sure you pause the video to go ahead and get those copied. But again, this is pretty much the same thing you've been doing all week with just some different things. Oh, I like the negative stuff. So here we have 5.4 times x minus 9. This times that is going to be 5.4x. 5.4 times negative 9. Let's see, that's 45. That's 36. That's 48.6. Let's see. 48.6 was my guess. There we go. And because that 9 is negative, it would be a negative 48.6. Notice that I did not need to type the negative because I understand the algebra rules. Because some people say, well, why'd you type 5.4 times 9? It's negative 9 because the number stays the same, and I knew it was going to be negative. That makes a negative 21.6. And from there, we now have to move this number here. So we add that to both sides. So plus 48.6. Plus 48.6. That leaves us only the 5.4x and 2, carry the 1, 0, carry the 1, 70.2. No, I'm subtracting that. Let me do it on the calculator. Should be 17, something like that. Actually, it is 17. Negative 21.6. Remember, on this calculator, you type your 21.6 first, and then make sure you see the negative before you move on. Then type plus 48.6, and there's your 27. And then from there we get we have 5.4x equals 27. Again, we gotta get rid of this 5.4, so we will divide by 5.4. Getting x over here, and I believe that answer is 5 because 5 times 5 is about 25. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to verify on the calculator just to show you that you can use common sense with these numbers. The more you work with them, the better common sense you get with them. That's why I suggest that you do as much stuff from your head as possible, because the more you do it, the faster you get at it. And it seems like torture at first, but again, just like anything, the more you practice it, the better off you get. Not worried about that one. I will come back to this one because this is on your quiz tomorrow and it's something we haven't seen in a while. Keep in mind, this is x divided by 13.6, so this question again will be on it. The value that is with x is the 13.6. And remember that if I want to move this 13.6 because it's being divided, that I will multiply. Don't forget you put parentheses 13.6 on both sides. Again, I did this so you could have a quick review on that before your test tomorrow. Remember, that goes away giving us x, and I have no clue what that is, but a lot of people don't. That's 3 digits times 3 digits. 11.4 times 13.6 which is 155.04. So again, that was just a real quick review on your division, and I'll do one more just to make sure. Again, you'll see this on your quiz, on your test tomorrow as well. Again, j divided by 17.4 is over here, so the value with j is 17.4. But I just know that this week we haven't seen a lot of division, and so I wanted to bring that back to our memory so you can be ready for that tomorrow. But again, if you want to move this 17.4 being divided, then we put parentheses 17.4, parentheses 17.4. Then we find out what 13.6 times 17.4 is. Hope I didn't mess up, but again, we get over that. 236.64. I think the day you accept messing up is the day you take off, because most people don't do things because they're afraid to mess up. But once you stop being afraid to mess up, you actually do a whole lot better. I believe that's it. But other than that, like I said, I'm going to submit this thing and then give my assessment of it, see if I made any mistakes. Nope, because we skipped that one. So this is a perfect quiz. I do deserve to be in Algebra 134. Other than that, again, make sure you do your homework. Your homework is set up to the point to where the questions on your homework are the same for today, at least. The questions on your homework for today are the same questions that you're going to see on your test. So as long as you can answer those questions, you should be fine on your assessment. So make sure you get the help that you need. And other than that, have a good weekend. I'll talk to you later. Good luck.